Legal Practitioners Fidelity Fund, led by CEO Motlatsi Molefe, hosted a robust community outreach engagement last month in Limpopo. The grassroots outreach program aimed to ensure that every person knows the avenues available to them when trust is broken by dishonest lawyers and how to help recover stolen funds. Let's now speak to the fund's CEO, Motlatsi Molefe. Dr. Molefe, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this morning. Maybe let's just start off with you talking to us about the Legal Accountability Initiative and its primary objectives in empowering our communities with the knowledge that they need when it comes to legal literacy.
Well, I think, good morning to you first. I just think that it's important basically for the community, both rural and urban, to be aware of, firstly, the fund itself, the services it offers, and secondly, their rights in terms of claims against the fund, and their rights in terms of their relationship with their legal representatives. Insofar as the fund is concerned, we are really talking about an institution that has been founded to ensure that it actually reimburses members of the public who have lost money or goods that have been stolen by their legal practitioner in the event he was doing work for them. And that right is really an open right that you can exercise freely as soon as you can prove that, in fact, money that was due to you was misappropriated by a practitioner. Insofar as rights are concerned in relation to practitioners, it becomes very important for members of the public to know that they cannot exchange money or give money to a practitioner who is not in possession of a valid Fidelity Fund certificate. A valid Fidelity Fund certificate enables the practitioner to receive money or property from a member of the public in trust, and he is supposed to deal with that in the specific manner in terms of which his instruction is given to him by the client. But more importantly, people need to understand that a Fidelity Fund certificate is valid only for the 1 year. So if, for instance, I were to approach a legal practitioner this year, today is the 21st of September 2025, and I were to ask him if he's got a valid Fidelity Fund certificate, that certificate should reflect that it was issued for the period 1st January 2025 with an expiry date of 31st December 2025. If he cannot show you a certificate of that nature with those timelines, you are not and you should not be able to give him any money for him to exercise and hold in trust for you. Those are the issues that we are trying to make people out there through our campaigns to be aware of in order to manage the risk of them being left out of pocket because of unethical behavior by certain legal practitioners.
Speaking of that unethical behavior, and Dr. Molefe, I mean, on your engagements, you came across many communities and families speaking about how certain lawyers were able to run away with wills so they can't now claim from estates. There have been many examples of how people have been robbed of monies that were due to them. What would you say are the most prevalent cases? What should people look out for the most where you're finding that these are low-hanging fruit for such unscrupulous lawyers?
Well, the biggest area of risk, quite very frankly, relates to conveyancing. Those are property transactions. And property transactions are complicated in the sense that money is paid upfront into the trust account of the practitioner who is going to be doing the transfer. And more often than not, that is where people tend to lose their money because people then steal the money instead of the transaction going through. Or alternatively, the transaction goes through. When he's supposed to pay over the money to the seller of the property, he just disappears with the money or simply misappropriates it. That's the first area of concern for us. The second area of concern relates to road accident fund claims. And in that respect, I mean, you have seen in the media just how many people would be complaining about the fact that their money was stolen by a practitioner. But at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is that we are doing these campaigns to make people aware of these things so that when they begin even to have the slightest of suspicion that something is not right, they actually have to tell us as the fund, and they also have to tell the Legal Practice Council as the regulator. Both of us are imbued with the powers of investigation, and we will investigate to ensure that these matters are eradicated, and people who are guilty of such conduct, the LPC will ensure they are suspended or removed from the role of practitioners.
What would you say is important in terms of that knowledge and the awareness and the literacy, just on a high level, that people need to be aware of? I mean, you spoke about asking for that Fidelity Fund certificate when engaging with a lawyer. What do you think people need to be equipped with in order for them to be asking the right questions at the very beginning of these processes?
At the very beginning of the process, that's the question to ask. And secondly, verification. Verification is important in the sense that even if you are in possession of a Fidelity Fund certificate, you actually might find yourself in trouble with the regulator mid-term whilst you hold a Fidelity Fund certificate. So what I would urge people to do is to verify with the Legal Practice Council at any time when you begin to engage with a practitioner, whether that practitioner is in good standing or not. Get that confirmation, because then you know that you're dealing with someone that you can trust and in whom you can place a whole lot of confidence. And ask the right questions. Understand also, very importantly, that subsequent to your engagement with him, he is your agent. You are the principal. You are entitled to know what is going on with your matter, and you are entitled to look into your file. So it is important for you to hold him accountable in a relatively courteous manner. You actually have to ask what is going on. People tend to wait for too long before they act. So we encourage regular contact with your practitioner in order for you to know what is going on, so that you can pick up early signs of things that are going wrong and notify the regulator and the fund as quickly as possible in order for us to step in and intervene and assist.
Lastly, Ntate Molefe, do you find there are enough prosecutions around this that would act as a deterrent to unethical lawyers from continuing to take from clients?
Well, our experience has been that over the last few years, there have been very, very little in terms of prosecutions. And I think what we are trying to push now through a joint committee with the NPA and the SAPS is an effort to actually make sure that these matters are actually dealt with at the right level of volumes and in terms of dexterity as well, that these should be done as soon as possible to ensure that we actually stop this kind of conduct and eradicate it within the legal profession.
All right, that was CEO Motlatsi Molefe. Thank you so much for your time, sir, and joining us today. Certainly valuable information for many of those that are engaging with lawyers from time to time.